So hello and welcome to my Flosstube update. I had to check when I last did a video and what number I'm up to. I last did a video, I think it must have been the end of February, and that was number 20. So this is number 21 and it is May the 13th, I think, today. I lose track at the weekend because I don't need to know what date it is. So welcome. So if you're new to my channel, hello, my name's Claire. And if you're not new, welcome back. I'm going to try and keep this a bit shorter than my previous videos just because I've got quite a bit I need to get done this afternoon. It's just gone 3:30 on Sunday afternoon. It's quite a nice afternoon actually. It looked a bit overcast this morning, but it's kind of blue skies with white clouds now, which is quite nice, and I've got the washing out on the line. Yeah, so let's get started. So since I last saw you, I have got some progress, not a huge amount. I think when I last spoke to you, I shared one of the quilts that I was putting together, the Japanese embroidery quilt. I'm not going to show you that today. I have finished all of the embroidery, so all of the panels that are in the middle and all of the borders, and that's all been put together as a quilt top, and I've basted that with the backing. I just need to actually quilt it, so hopefully that will be done soon, and then I'll show it as a finished piece. So that probably took up most of my time in March, so I didn't do a lot of cross stitching then. So I think kind of I was doing that for February and March, but I have done some work, so I think probably just get on, because I think some of these things that I've started you wouldn't have seen because I've started and finished them, and then I've got a couple that you have seen before. So the most latest, is that the right? My most recent finish is this little one by Little House Needleworks, and that's called Lavender Hill. And I have stitched this on just a piece of 32 count blue linen that I got as an offcut in a local shop. And that's that one. Let's see, I don't know what it looks like with the lighting. Which way's better? I'm going to just trust that you could see that, because I actually can't see with the light the way it is. But I didn't make any changes to it except for the colour of linen that I stitched it on. They stitched theirs on a 16 count lamb's wool coda. Yeah, so I just switched it up because that's what I had to hand, and although I'm not doing stitch from stash, I'm still trying to stick to the principles of trying to use really what I've got in my stash. So that's the first one. This next one is also a start and a finish, and I know that I stitched this in March because I was doing it over Easter, and this is a pattern that I had in my collection, and that's this one. And that's one by the trilogy, and is it just called Beatrice? Yeah, Beatrice, one of their tongue twisters. I hadn't realised until I stitched this who actually made up the trilogy. I don't think I'd really thought about it, but it's these three designers coming together. And I think this isn't a particularly new, 2005 this pattern. I can't remember, I might have got it on eBay. And I made a few changes with this one, as you will see. So here is Beatrice. So again, this linen, it's like a lemon linen, was just something I had in my stash. Again, it's another one of those kind of cut off. This was the actual size of the linen. They just sell kind of little cut-offs that I stock up on each time I go there, because they're quite handy for these kind of little things, and it's like £3 or something at the most. I did make some changes with it because I didn't have all of the colours for this one. I'm probably not, I don't think I'm very good at swapping out colours, but you know, I'm not bothered enough that I'm going to put it all out and change it. So I didn't have the blue that was recommended. So I have actually stitched it in one of the new DMC colours, and it's kind of a bluey, but it's probably more of a purple actually when you've stitched it. So the light purple and the dark purple are both from the new DMC range. was it something like 35 or 20? I can't remember, I'm sorry, I didn't look. If you're really desperate to know, you can ask me. Although I will apologise because I know that I haven't answered all the questions on my last video yet either. I've been really bad recently, but I do apologise for that. I know you take the time and effort to comment. I will try to get better at making an effort to comment myself or reply to comments. My next finish, I actually finished this a while ago, well, almost finished it a while ago, and that's this one, which is the Forest Snowfall by Country Cottage Needleworks, and this was part of the stitch along done by Priscilla and Chelsea. And I had finished it quite a while ago, except for the French knots for the eyes and the feet on both the deer and the rabbit. So for some reason it took me ages to get around doing those, so I finally finished that last weekend. And so here's this one. I'm just going to try and pull it a bit tighter for you. Yeah, so I'm quite pleased with that one. I stitched out the fabric for it, and this was something that I had in my stash, and this is, I think it's a 32 count, just spot linen, which I quite like. The colours are very different. I haven't changed the colours apart from the blue, which was one that was recommended by Amy at Down Sunshine Lane, but all the other colours are as charted. But it's much lighter, the colours that are in mine, so I think if you look at the pattern you'll see that the colour of the roof on there is quite dark, and in mine it's quite a light black brown. But then also the colour of the house, I faffed around with that quite a few times, and I think I had chosen a different colour and then just went back to the original colour because I wasn't overwhelmed by the choice that I'd made. And there is actually 3 colours in that house, but I think looking at it, I mean, I can see it kind of looking at it like this, but I don't think you'd be able to see the difference on camera. So that was my 3rd finish since I last saw you. Excuse me. The next finish I was doing as a giveaway gift for the retreat that I went to on a couple of weeks ago. So I went to the Milton Keynes stitching retreat that was at the end of April. Great fun as always, so lovely to catch up with people, because this is, I think, is it the 3rd time I've been to the Milton Keynes retreat, and then I've also been to one in Crewe last year or the year before. I think it was the year before. I don't know, time just seems to kind of all meld into one big, and so I couldn't tell you if something was last year or the year before, because it all feels like it should have been like yesterday. Anyway, so they always do like a stitcher's gift, and I do like to participate in it, but unfortunately I was on track for getting it done, and I did actually finish the stitching. But I got a cold the week before I went to retreat, and I know that, Tina, if you're watching, I'm really sorry that you got a cold afterwards. I do feel slightly guilty. I did try my best to try and contain myself. Like, there was a box of Maltesers being passed around the table at the stitching retreat, and I was like, I won't put my hands in a communal box of chocolates because I don't want to spread any germs. So my person sitting next to me, Sheila, thank you, very kindly looked after me and put the Maltesers out for me. So I'm really sorry. And Tina as well, I pinched your tissues, didn't I? So I hope you had enough tissues at home after that, because I ran out of tissues at the retreat because I just had such a streaming cold. I was actually better by the time I went to retreat. I'd had the cold almost a week by the time I got there. But that just then meant that the last minute kind of things the weekend before and wanted to get prepped, it just didn't happen. So I'm going to show you what I stitched, because I might use this for the next retreat, or I might keep it for myself if I ever get it finished, because I quite like this. And this is a hands-on design, and I think this was a new release at market this year, and it's that scissor fob that I stitched, which is Stitching is My Heart's Desire. And I was going to finish it as this pattern was finished, because it gives you all of the directions for doing that. And I looked at it and I thought, I quite like it. I'm not going to show all of it, but it kind of gives you the picture tutorial of how to put it together, and I'm quite a visual person when it comes to doing things. I can't say that mine will actually look like that finished piece, but I will give it a go. But the stitch piece, this is actually the second one I stitched, because I started this one and and it's a really simple design. If I show you, you can see, you know, it's not complicated. Straighten it up. You know, really pretty. I made so many mistakes the first time with it, and I think when it got to the third or fourth time of me needing to take stuff out, I actually just I just tossed the. In fact, to tell you what I did, it was on this same bit of linen. It was a bit of a Chelsea approach to doing my stitching. I just pulled out a big bit of linen and started stitching. I just hacked off the bit that I'd made all the mistakes on, tossed it over, and I just turned it around and started on another bit because I was just getting very frustrated. And actually, I did a lot better there. It was a bit like a clean slate. Let's start again approach. And then I was looking for fabric to finish it off to get it into an FFO. And that's obviously where I fell down because I had the stitching done. I just wasn't up to putting anything together. But I went online to have a look to see if I could find similar fabric. So this one uses this spot that you can see here with coordinating flower material, which picks up the colours that are used in the design. So I found it's a bit of a bigger spot, this spot print, and it's quite pretty. So I thought that would work quite well. And then I couldn't quite find, because I think the one in the pattern is on like a grey background, but I quite like this one. So it's quite a big floral, but I think the colours, how can I show you this? Can I do that? Need more hands. I think the colours in the flowers work quite well. And just in case you're interested, because obviously fabrics, they're very like a fashion item, so they're in for a short while and they go. So you always, if ever you see fabric that you like and you want to make a quilt with it, you buy it, because otherwise, unless it's one of those you know, long-term colours, like this is a French General, so there are some French General fabrics that hang around, like the French General Red I've bought for years, and it's one of my favourite colours. But this one, Atelier de France, and that is a French General fabric, as I said. They do some beautiful things. And of course you can't just go on and buy two small kind of fat quarters. I did, because I wasn't sure. It's really hard to tell when you're looking at the pictures online. I also picked up this one, which looks like a dashwood, so I'm assuming it is a dashwood. Jojo, maybe not. I don't know, but it's called Fable Wood. You see that? It's very pretty. Is this one a dashwood? This one's definitely a dashwood. This one, which I love, I don't know what I'm going to use this for. This might turn into a project bag actually. And this is called Confetti by Rachel Cave or Carve, and that is a dashwood one. Absolutely love that. I've got a really lovely sort of dashwood fabric ready to go into a quilt. And then because I wasn't sure about the floral, whether the big floral will work, I'd also picked out this one. And I think that still will work quite well with that one. So I'm not sure. Big or small floral, I might have to have a play around. It's quite a small piece, so I might actually be better with a small floral, but there's something about this one that I really love. Very French feeling. So it's a finish, but it's not an FFO, and I don't quite know when I will get around to that. I'm actually doing some stitching today, so I might have a play around. This one I had hoped would be finished. This is Starlight Santa, which is the Mill Hill kit. It's had no progress since I last showed it to you, because I realised that I'd got some of the gold colours that I was using the wrong way round, so needed to frog it, but I needed to wait until it was daylight because I couldn't really tell the difference between the golds under artificial light. And so I put it aside somewhere, and now I can't find. I've got the pattern, I've got the picture, and I've got this, but I don't know where the rest of the thread has gone, all the beads. So this is just kind of hanging around. So hopefully I'll have got that finished by my next update. Sorry, kicking the table that you're on. Yeah, hopefully that will turn up. I remember seeing it somewhere and thinking, yeah, there it is. I think it was in my big DMC fold out chart with all the colours because I think I've been colour matching with it, but I had a really big sort out of all my DMC a couple of weeks ago, and it's what happens when I tidy up. I tidy up and I lose things. I should just leave it a mess. Excuse me. I've still got a bit of a cough that's just hanging around after this cold that I can't seem to completely shake, but I shall try and keep the coughing to a minimum. And then I did have another, not only a finish but also an FFO, and this one you would have seen because I was stitching as a gift this one here, this top one. And this is a Prairie Schooler pattern called the Needle's Eye, and I was stitching that as a gift for the lady who ran the quilt shop near where I live, where I've been going for quite a number of years, and I've done the quilting classes and the free sew Saturdays, because they retired at the end of March, which is really sad. I'm, really great for them. I'm really happy for them that they're at that time in their life where they want to enjoy being grandparents and being retired. But selfishly, it's a shame. And I've made really good friends there, but hopefully we've got plans to meet up outside and carry on as such. So that was gifted. I did take a photo of it, and I think it's on this device. So when I upload my whatever this is, Flosstube video, hopefully I'll be able to pull that picture off, and if so, I shall insert it here. So if I do this, I know where to insert it. A picture of the finished. Made it into a little pillow. So that's all the finishes I've got. Gosh, and that already takes almost 17 minutes. It goes just time, doesn't it? So I've just got some progress to show you. So let's do some progress. I need to find the right. Maybe I should do it. Sorry, all the project bags here. I piled them all up behind me before I started. I might actually do it by project bag. Okay, so not a great deal on this one, but I did a little bit of work on this chart, and this is Beside the Seaside Beach Huts by Bothy Threads, and this is the second in the series I've done in the series, and just a little bit of progress. We're doing a lot of sea on this one. And this is just on the Ada that's supplied in the kit. What count is it? 14 count Ada. This is a really easy one to stitch on when I just need something straightforward, not have to concentrate a great deal, especially doing the sea as such. So I'm probably going to put this one aside because I go on holiday next week. I'm going off to Cork and then further down Southern Ireland, back to where my grandparents are from. So I'm going with my mum and dad. I'm going to meet up with my uncle and cousins and have a bit of a family reunion, and my other aunt's coming over, so that should be good. But that would be probably quite a good one to take, because again I don't know what the lighting will be like in the house where we're staying, so 14 count Ada is quite good as if the lighting isn't great. So another one that I pulled out was Elizabeth, one of the Mirabilias, or the Mirabilia that I'm working on. Elizabeth has been with me for a few years now and is probably likely to be around for a few years more, but she did get some attention this time round. I just need to take her out. Still got a needle in her. I obviously just kind of came to the end and stopped working. I'll just tighten her up so you can see her. And where's my... So you can see, and I worked on this bottom bit here of her dress, so I think kind of everything kind of from below where my finger is here is what I worked on. So still quite a bit to go, and actually there is more coming down here as well, so there's a fair bit more work to come on her, but when I work on her I really enjoy working on her. And now, oops, cascade of stuff across the floor. If anyone's in the UK, Hobbycraft are having a sale again at the moment. They do it every so often on their threads. The Gutermann threads are half price at the moment, so I've been this morning and stocked up, because at half price I know I might not need them at the moment, but I will use them at some point, so it's always good to, I always feel I should stock up. What else have I got? Okay, so this one is a Nora Corbett, I think. Yeah. So I'm working on, oh, what's her name? Thingy. I'm working on Thingy. I don't know. I always think of her as Angelina Jolie with that leg, but what's her name? Zinnia. Zinnia. She's one of the bewitching pixies. And I took this one away on retreat with me, so I didn't get a great deal done, because I just stitched her, on the Friday night. She's on a massive bit of fabric, because I haven't cut it down. I'm very lazy when it comes to fabric management. I tend to just grab the fabric and start stitching. Part of it is because I'm worried if I cut it, I'll cut it wrong and it'll be too small. So if I just start stitching it and then cut it down when I'm a good way into it, I know that I'm safe. Or, you know, I am just lazy, so maybe that's just an excuse. So she wasn't actually meant to be stitched on this pattern. She was on this fabric. She was supposed to be stitched on a different fabric, but I think she's looking quite good on it. And this is the progress so far. Let me see. So the bit that I worked on, I filled in this bit kind of down here, and then I started filling in this bit over here. And as I was stitching on her, I was thinking, it's very pink. I always thought that she was red. I don't know why I thought that she was much more red. And so I was stitching away in this pink, and it is, let me get the pink out. She says that might be, oh, here you go. There's this one, which is 777, and there's a really, really bright pink. But well, it's very, very pink. Ooh. Ooh. All very, very pink colours, which I was really quite surprised of, and I was like, I'm sure this can't be right. I don't think this is right. I think I've made a mistake. I've pulled the wrong colours for this. Because when I got there as well, at first I wasn't sure that I had the right colours, because I wasn't prepared at all. As I said, because I had that cold, I kind of just got up on the Friday morning and just threw some stuff in a bag, which was quite good because I packed really lightly. But I was really also unsure that I actually had the right stuff with me to stitch her. But no, I didn't have the picture either of it to look at it. So Sheila, who was sat next to me, very kindly looked at her up for me and said, no, that is the colour that she's supposed to be. She is actually pink, not red. So I was like, oh. I don't know why I thought she was red. In my mind she was red, but I think kind of no, actually I was going to say at a distance maybe she looks red, but actually no, she is pink. So if you're stitching her, she's pink and black, not red and black. So that is Zinnia, Angelina, as I like to call her. So speaking of retreat, at 10 o'clock on the Saturday morning we had a new start. And so for the new start I chose to do another Nora Corbett. I had this one in my stash, and this one is the Needle Fairy. And she's really pretty. Sorry, I've got pins and needles. I'm just going to try and extend my leg. Oh, that's better. You know when your leg goes completely numb? I think I might be shaking the camera, I'm really sorry. Ooh. And I stitched on her on retreat, so I started her on the Saturday at 10 o'clock, and then I carried on stitching on her whilst at retreat, and then I stitched on her for most of last week. So I think I put her down last Sunday, and that's when I picked up the Forest Snowfall, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to start something else, I need to put the feet on the deer. But here's the progress on this one. Can you see? Is that the better? Yeah, so I've got all of the dress done, minus the krennic and the beading. And I had to stop there actually, because although I've got the colour to do her skin, which is done in, what colour is her skin done? Is it Cobbled Peach? cobbled peach. I didn't actually have all of the other colours, so I think when I looked to kit this up, because it's all done in Classic Colourworks. Classic Colourworks or Crescent Colours? Crescent Colours. I always get those confused. Crescent Colours. There. It was a bit pricey to buy it all in one go, so I didn't. So I haven't got the beads or the Krennic or Krynic. You say Krynic, I say Krennic. So I need to go back, and actually I went to go and order it, and everywhere I looked didn't have. So I need lemon lime is one of the colours I need for her wings. Lemon lime and Eve's leaves. No one had it, but I've looked today, and so has it back in stock. So I'm going to order that today so I can pick her back up, because actually there isn't a huge amount more work in her before she's finished. I've not told you what she's stitched on. So she will be stitched in all of the recommended colours, and she's stitched on a Jodrey, I can never say that name, and it's an August 2015 limited edition called Regal Peacock, and this is a 28 count Brittany, so it's got sparkle to it, and it's a really pretty piece actually. I think she looks very pretty on it. That's her. I do actually have 2 others in this series, so there's 6 in the Stitching Fairy series. So I also have the Linen Fairy and the Bead Fairy. And you can see there's a Thimble Fairy down by my finger. There's a Pincushion Fairy, which is this one, but the Pincushion Fairy, and there's a Floss Fairy, which I haven't got a picture of, I don't think. Oh yes, that's the Floss Fairy, that one there. So the Floss Fairy and the Pincushion Fairy are kits only. So I probably won't do those, because usually those kits, they're a bit like the Halloween and the Valentine, New Year's Eve. They're really quite pricey. Although I suppose when you individually price up how much I would have paid for the hand-dyed fabric and then paying for the speciality threads or fancy floss, it probably doesn't work out that much cheaper, does it? And actually all of those fairies, what's quite nice, they're all in the same colour scheme, so when I order my next lot of floss I will order a couple, or I might even order 3 of each, because those colours are used in each one, just so there's a bit of continuity with how they look. And this is in my new project bag that is made by, it's Ina's mum, I know her as. I did pick up a card because I thought I'll pick up a card so then I can give her credit when I do the recording. And I know that the card is in my purse, which is over there in my handbag, so I'll have to add that into the details down below. But she does really lovely work, and they posted a pic before we went of some of the bags that she'd done, and there was one with foxes on that was really popular as well. But I saw the flamingos and I was like, I want that bag. So when they opened up they had the stitching was all in one room, and I think it was a total of 6 round tables that we had in there. And then next door there was another smaller room which they used to set up the shop, and it was brilliant because we had Ina's mum who was selling bags, and she had the big bags, she had some smaller bags as well, and all really lovely fabrics. And then next door to her was, oh, I'm going to blank your name, Nicola, I think it's Nicola, and she was on the spot with her sewing machine making grime guards. So as also Sarah Marnie, Sarah's Mixed Bag, was there with her shop, she was selling actual Q-snaps rather than what we generally get in this country, which is the R&R frames. I've stocked up on some Q-snaps because I bought the 11 by 17 off Amazon a few months ago, and I love it. It's much lighter than an R&R. These bits, the clamps, are longer and therefore I think give you better kind of what's the word I'm looking for, tension on your fabric. Yeah, I just like them much better. So I bought these, and I bought 3 sizes, and then I went over the way to Nicola with her sewing machine, and she ran me up there, and then 3 appropriate, sizes for each of the frames that I bought of the Q-snap grime guards, which was perfect. I thought I had oh yeah, so this is another one that I bought. So you can see I kind of went with, it's the same material, same pattern, but just in different colours. And then there's the one in the middle I got was a green colour, but I'm not entirely sure what that is. It might be on a project actually. So what have I shown you? Let me have a look. Is that all the stitching I've done? That might be all the stitching I've done. It doesn't feel very much for the amount of time I've been away, but yeah, I think that's probably it. Did I buy anything else at retreat? The grime guards, the Q-snaps. I did buy pattern, but I couldn't find it before I started this video. And it is somewhere with another pattern that I bought, which is the Shakespeare Peddler one, with the about broken needles. I can't remember what it's called, but I want to start that one quite soon, because I don't know if anyone else finds it, but there must be something about the way that I stitch and how I hold the needle. And I think as I pull the needle through with my finger, I think I must put pressure on the eye of the needle, so that over a few weeks I actually get a bent needle. So it's like where the eye is, it's kind of a bit crooked, and I hadn't noticed it before, but now I've looked at quite a few of my needles, I can see that that's happened. And so I was thinking about, why does that happen? And then I was thinking about the way I stitch, and I thought, yeah, so when you pull the needle through, I then quite often pull on the end of the needle and pull it through, so there's probably quite a bit of tension there, which is causing that bending to happen. I don't know if any of you get that, but so when I saw the pattern, I thought that's great, because now I've actually got somewhere to put the needles. Because what do you do with your broken needles otherwise? I'm like, I can't throw them in the rubbish, because what if the poor bloke who comes around to collect the rubbish stabs himself in the leg with my needle? That wouldn't be appropriate at all. Yeah, and I saw this and I was like, that's great. And I really love the whole idea behind the concept of actually honouring the needles that you've used. These are your work tools, they're a big part of the hobby that I do and what brings you pleasure. What better way than to actually have a pattern that it will also be useful, because you can put your used and bent needles into it. And I would probably use it not just for my cross-stitching needles, but also like needles from my sewing machine as well, so to reflect the kind of the quilting that I've done. Because you're supposed to replace your sewing machine needle with every project, but it takes me years to do a project, so it probably should be more frequent than that. There's one other thing that I've just found that I worked on, but I've only just pulled this out this week, and I think I've stitched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 letters on it, and that's this Lizzie Kate ABCs of Halloween, and this is where my other Q-snap and grime guard has got to. And that's all I did just along here this week. So not very much really, but this one will probably be what I work on next. Although I didn't do any stitching the last couple of days, because I actually took my sewing machine out because I hadn't done any sewing for a while. I'm just looking to see if there's anything around me that I've forgotten. And I made some project bags. So a long time ago I tried to replicate the sewing bags that are made with the zip, and I know lots of people make them now, and I'm not really very good at zips, and I'm clearly still not very good at zips, but I had this bag and I had the zip sewn in, but I hadn't put it together because the zip was really wonky, and I was really self-conscious of the fact that it was wonky. I couldn't get past it, and when I put the 2 sides together, for some reason, although the front and the back are the same size, there was like a 1/2 inch gap shorter on one side of the zip of the 2 sides, and I couldn't work out how that had happened. So yesterday I took it apart, I put it back together again, and I still had a gap with the zip, it was slightly straighter, but that's because I just freehanded it. I decided, I'd looked up first how you put zips in things, and then yesterday I just thought, I'm just going to sew it on. So I just went a bit rogue with it and just thought, you know what, I'm just going to sew it on and see if I can get it straight. So I have got a line of stitching here, because what I did is I stitched the lining on first, so I only had to worry about one bit to hold in place, because previously it was trying to stitch the lining to the front of the bag whilst stitching it onto the zip, and that was just too much to handle. I need to know my limitations, you see. It's not perfect, but I have a usable bag. You can see here I've got some kind of custom, I don't know what you'd call it, custom curvature to the bag. That's a design feature that I've added. And also I noticed that my zip is on the other way round than all of the bags that I've bought. So my zip opens perfect for me because I'm left-handed, so it opens across and then back, whereas most zips go the other way. But I think that made it really complicated when I was trying to sew it together, about when you're supposed to sew halfway, you open it and then you open your zip so that you can turn it through. I couldn't work out how that was, and I think it was because I had the zip the wrong way around. So I just made it up, stuck pins in it to hold the zip as best as I could, and sewed over it 7 or 8 times to hold it in place, and called it a finish. So I have a bag. This afternoon I've got my sewing machine out still, I've got my ironing board up still over here. I've just shoved them out of the way so I can make this video, because I had a really good sort out of all of my fabric. I have a huge fabric collection, and I've been trying to look at how I can use some of it rather than just hoard it. So I had this is a Janet Clare collection, just ready cut small blocks here, and so I've put these two together, and the idea is I'm going to put a zip between them, quilt it somehow, and that will be the front of a bag. And today I just picked up in Hobbycraft this fabric, which I'm probably going to use as the back but also the lining, and I've just got a navy blue zip for that somewhere. And then I had these leftover charm squares, so I'm going to have that as the back, this as the bottom bit, this at the top with a zip in between. And I found this fabulous bright pink fabric today in Hobbycraft. So it's the same. They had lots of, they're a plain collection, but they're nice because they've got this kind of linear marking on them, which I thought was quite attractive. So I'm tempted to have another go at zips. I don't know how successful I'll be, but it's that I just want to try it. I just want to see if I can do it. I had got this fabric ready to do a bag with, so I'd cut out the inside, had it stuck onto I ironed it onto the wadding, but I hadn't cut this because the fabric is actually that way, and I kind of thought, oh yeah, no, it would be wrong direction, so I never did it. And then yesterday I just thought, sod it, the fabric's just sat in my cupboard for about a year, so I may as well put it together and just live with it the wrong way around. And actually I really like that fabric. I think it's really pretty. So that fabric bag. And then I went to another quilting shop a couple of weeks ago in Wallingford, Village Fabrics I think it's called, which is lovely. If ever you're in Wallingford or around that area, it's a very pretty little town to go and visit. And it was a sunny day, everybody was out, it was really beautiful. But they have a few craft shops, and when I went to Village Fabric, she gave me a little leaflet they'd done about all the other places, craft shops that you could visit in the town. So I had a little bit of a craft hop that afternoon. But I saw this material and I fell in love with it. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I just knew that I had to have it. And it's called Japan. Is that the range or the make? I can't remember. Definitely had Japan in it. I couldn't find in that shop a fabric that I wanted to do as a lining. So yesterday I went into Vista Wools and I'd picked up a plain green, and then I saw the spot, which I think goes so well. I was so pleased with this because actually when you look, that green spot is in the centre of the flower, so it's a pretty good match. So I was really pleased with that. Yeah, so what else have I got here? Just a few purchases to finish with. I don't know if I'd shown this last time I saw you, but I thought I'd just dig it out just in case I had. This is another Mill Hill kit. I quite like having one of those on hand to do. I know everybody has seen these. These are the Little House Needleworks. What series is the series called? Farmhouse Christmas. I haven't done anything with these yet. I don't quite know. I'm kind of just watching what everyone else does with them to get inspiration, to see whether I do them as singles or whether I do them all together. One of my friends asked if I wanted this because they'd stitched it, and I said I would love it, so thank you very much, Ellie. This one is Donna, one of the Christmas Eve couriers. Sorry, one of my neighbours has just pulled up playing music. As I said, it's a nice sunny day, so I'm pretty sure I've shown this one, just in case I haven't. A Lizzie Kate, a Busy Bee, and then another quilt shop. That's going to be, so one of the quilt shops has changed owners, the one near me. Another one, Threads and Patches, is closing down, which is a real shame, and that's a really lovely big quilt shop. But I went there to have a look, got some fabric of course, but I also found 2 Butternut Road patterns. So that one's the Teacher, and that was a bargain price of £2. And then I found Little Wings, again that was £2, so I picked those up when I saw them. And that's it, that's me done. Quite straightforward today, a bit of a show and tell, not much else to go on. I was going to do this video yesterday because I had my hair done, and I've got dead straight hair, and she always does it with a nice kind of blow dry, puts a wave into it. But I just didn't get round to it yesterday, and then I woke up today and I was like, I got sick at Christmas, I got sick at Easter, and then I've just got over a cold as well, and I'm fed up with feeling run down and sick. So I've gone back to the gym, gone back to healthy eating. So this morning, I'm afraid you get me, or this afternoon, I feel still a bit flushed from the gym, and my hair's been shoved up into a ponytail and was a bit icky, so who cares? Trying to think about if I can look after myself a bit better, then maybe I'll feel a bit healthier, because the start of this year has been a little bit miserable, if I'm honest. But we're into May. The weather has been much better. I'm sure that will help. I'm on holiday next week, which is quite exciting. I've done absolutely nothing to get ready for it, but I shall crack on with that now. I think I'm just going to spend the rest of the afternoon, early evening, doing a bit of sewing on the sewing machine, seeing if I can tackle those zips. I've got my laptop here. Can you actually see? No, my laptop's just off screen, so I've got Flosstube queued up. So I'm just going to watch that. I'm hopelessly behind, so all I do now is I have it on autoplay, and it just clicks on to the next video. So it's complete chance who I see and who I don't see. And it is, in some ways it's quite good, because obviously I've missed one of Teresa's videos, Kitten Stitcher, from back in February, because so obviously knew I hadn't watched it, so flick that one up to show. So it shows it all out of order. Speaking of which, she does a section called What I'm All Into, and I thought I'd share my favourite thing. And I've influenced a couple of people at work to buy one of these because I just love it. And it's this. And you might not recognise what it is straight away, but it is a pencil sharpener, and it's a battery operated pencil sharpener. And if you haven't got one, they are one of the most satisfying things that you can have. And if you use pencils for marking your chart, one of these is perfect. It's great because if you're feeling slightly frustrated, you can jam your pencil in the top, and it's really noisy, so it grinds away at your pencil. But when you pull it out, you have such a sharp pencil. It's fabulous to use. But I love this, and I took it into work and I was sharp because I use pencils quite a bit in my job. And I was sharpening all my pencils, and all my colleagues were like, "Oh, what's that?" And a couple of them were gone and said, "Oh, I'm going to have to go and buy one of those." So pencil sharpener. This one is from Staples. I had one previous to this that was from WH Smith's, which I think was a little bit nicer, a little bit more efficient, but love it. Worth all the money I spent on it, and yeah. It's sometimes the small things in life really that bring you pleasure, isn't it? And that's about my price budget that I can afford on things that, you know, to cheer you up. Anyway, that's everything for me today. I don't know when I'll next see you. I'm not one of those people, you will know if you've watched me for a while, I definitely don't do weekly. I never really I did a couple of times think about doing vlogs or Stitch with me, but I've never got round to it, and I said, you know, I'm not even that great at doing monthly updates, so I think this will be a case of I shall see you when I see you. There are plenty of other people out there for you to watch and enjoy in the meantime. Do leave a comment if you have any questions. I promise you I will try and get back to you. That's right, somebody did ask about fabric, the London fabric that I'd used. I did actually go and I haven't answered you, but I did go and have a look at the brand, and some of it I couldn't find who made it. And I'm going to forget now, but there was somebody else who made some London fabric that I've seen recently, because again the fabric that I'd used, that was about 4 or 5 years ago, so that's gone. I can't remember. I'll try and put it down in the box below. I'll have to go and look it up again, but the brand that it is, they sell them in Hobbycraft in the UK. It's from that collection. They also sell it on I think I've seen it on Create and Craft as well, so I don't know if you're in the UK, but that's where they get it from. Yeah, anyway, thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, thank you for all the likes, thank you in general. Okay, take care, bye.